Hello everyone. In previous videos we've been entering most of our commands either directly into the command center here or into the turtle or patch monitors. In this video though we're going to take a look at procedures. Procedures are composite blocks of code that we write with the intention of using multiple times in different places in our model. To get started with procedures, let's jump over to the code tab here. Now the code tab provides kind of a text editor window where we can type things in, but unlike the command center or the turtle or patch monitors, the things we type in here don't get executed automatically by the model. Rather, they just kind of get stored and stay here. To define a procedure, we start with the keyword to, and then we name our procedure. So let's create a procedure that's just called setup. And then to end the definition of the procedure, we have the word end. So everything, all the code that comes in between the to and the end keyword is what our procedure does. We're going to create a setup procedure here that, well, first of all, let's have it clear everything. So this gets rid of all of our turtles, resets all the properties of the patches, etc. So usually with a setup procedure, we want to start with clear all. And then after clear all, let's go ahead and just create turtles. And then we'll create some number of turtles that we're going to define later. So I'm going to say create turtles, num turtles. And then every turtle, once it's created, which is this little code block that comes after create turtles, I'm going to set its color to blue, and I'm going to set its size to 2. And so this procedure, when we call it, it clears everything, and then it creates turtles based on this numTurtles variable, which we haven't talked about yet. And then it sets every turtle's color to blue and size to 2. Now, when we jump back over to the interface, NetLogo is actually going to complain that it doesn't know what numTurtles is, but we're going to take care of that in a second here. So I'm back in the interface now, and I'm going to right-click here, and I'm going to create a slider. And what a slider does is it gives us a slider that lets us control a variable that we can use in the code. So I'm going to call this global variable numTurtles, and the minimum is going to be 1 and the maximum is going to be 100. I'm going to go and click apply, and then so we've got this numTurtle slider here, and I'm going to select this and just move it, make it a little smaller. I reorganize things here a little bit. So now we've got a numTurtles slider that controls that variable that we defined here in the code. So switching back to the interface now, I can just type in the command center. I can type the name of the procedure that I just defined, setup, and it should give me 50 blue turtles. And it's hard to know that that's 50 because they're all clustered at the origin there. But let's just assume for now that that's what it's actually doing. Instead of just typing setup into the command center every time we want to clear everything and set up again, we can actually just make a button in the NetLogo interface. And then every time we click this button, it's just going to execute the command setup. And so now we have a little button that will set up. And every time we click setup, it's just going to clear everything and then create a number of turtles based on the slider. So let's turn this down to 1 and then click setup, and you see we just get 1 turtle there. If we turn setup up to 100, then it looks like we've got 100 turtles stacked on each other right there. Before moving forward, let's talk about ticks for just a moment here. Now, NetLogo models are intended to simulate phenomena that involve time, and in the typical NetLogo model, all the agents will do some action, and then the model will advance a tick, and then the agents will, do other actions in the next tick. And then so we simulate, behavior continuously, and at each step, the tick increases. And you see up at the top here, we can, adjust the tick speed, and we also will have a tick counter once our model starts running. Now, acknowledging that, let's jump back into the code tab here, and we want to make just a little addendum to the setup procedure here, which is to reset ticks. And that's usually the last thing we do in the setup procedure, which just resets our tick count back to 0. Now, we can create procedures with any names we want that do any sort of thing, but in this example, I'm going to stick to the kind of canonical procedures that you'll see in most NetLogo models. So the next procedure I'm going to define is the go procedure, which is the set of instructions we execute every time the model advances one tick. Now, at the end of the go procedure, I'm just going to include this keyword tick, which just tells the model to advance forward by one tick. Additionally, just to create a simple example here, each time the go procedure is called at each tick, I'm going to ask all the turtles to move forward by 1 unit and then turn right by 9 degrees. Now let's jump back over to the interface tab again, and we'll create a button that will actually call our go procedure that we just defined. And now let's maybe turn the number of turtles down to 20 and set up again just to initialize everything. And then every time we click go, it's going to advance the model by 1 tick and ask all the turtles to move forward by 1 unit and then turn right 9 degrees. So let's see what happens when we click go. It looks like all the turtles have moved away from the center. Let's click it again and see what happens. They move even further forward, and it looks like you can see them kind of starting to turn again. If we keep clicking go, we start to see a kind of pattern emerge where they're all kind of slowly turning and spreading out from the center, and then they seem to turn back towards the center and go back towards the origin. Now you can see by the tick counter up here that the model advanced 40 ticks because we clicked the go button 40 times. Now I'm going to click setup and reset everything back to normal again. Oftentimes, we don't want to have to click a button over and over and over again to get the model to run. So here we'll click on this go button and we'll go into edit and we'll click this little box here that says forever. And then once we've done that, once we click the go button down, it will just keep repeating itself automatically over and over again. So we'll click this now and see what happens. And you see the model just runs continuously now, and you see the ticks are just kind of advancing on their own. We can change the speed, so I can slow down the rate at which ticks advance, or I can really speed up the rate at which ticks advance and go back to normal here. Now, it seems interesting that we see this sort of, somewhat uneven circle of agents that kind of expand and contract repeatedly, because I don't remember anywhere in our go procedure in the code we didn't tell all the turtles to somehow form into a circle and then expand and contract. All we told the turtles to do each tick is to just go forward by 1 and then turn right 9 degrees. So what we're observing here is actually the sort of phenomenon that NetLogo was really created to study, which is emergence. Emergence is when some larger pattern at a higher level emerges out of just simple behavior of individual agents in a system. If we go back to the interface and we set the number of turtles to just 1, and then click setup, and then click go, we'll notice that we just have a turtle that moves around in a circle. We can stop this, and then we can add, let's go to like 3 turtles. Now we've got 3 of them, and we see now all 3 of them are just kind of pointing in random directions. And then at each tick, if you go forward by 1 and then turn a little bit, eventually you're going to get back to where you started, and that's going to produce kind of a circle. So now we've got 3 moving in circles, and you can kind of trace the individual circles of the agents. And maybe you can see a little bit this larger circle expanding and contracting. I can't really see it yet with 3, but let's go ahead and stop this and then boost the number of turtles up to 100. And then if we watch 100 turtles doing this, it's going to be really hard for us to track the individual circles that each agent is making. And we're just going to see this larger emergent circle that expands and contracts. But this actually just comes out of each of these individual turtles making their own little circles, which is interesting, I think. So hopefully this short series of videos has given you a good sense of what NetLogo is, what it's typically used for, how to interact with the different elements of models, agents, turtles, etc., how to send commands to agent sets, and how to write simple procedures and use simple interface elements to kind of create a model on your own. If you do decide to go forward and begin tinkering with existing models or creating your own models, remember that the NetLogo website is a great resource for information. I I know I've already referenced the NetLogo dictionary a number of times, which lives here, but the website also has more thorough documentation, tutorials, different extensions, and things that you can use to enhance NetLogo. So be sure to visit the website and check out the more thorough information. This tutorial was only intended to give you a really brief kind of shallow introduction to what NetLogo is. There's a lot more depth, and there are a lot of features and commands that I just hadn't touched on at all. So again, be sure to check out the website.